Well, good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Guys, we've got some great news to go through today. First of all, we've got a new quote from Matthew Whittaker. Epoch Times and American thought leaders had a conversation with him, and it's some nice stuff that you're going to want to hear. I guarantee it. We also have an interesting clip of Valerie Jarrett. She made an appearance at a Halloween party, and we have the footage. Also, it looks like Joe Biden had some trouble remembering the preamble of the Declaration of Independence. It's kind of sad. And he has some supporters speaking out saying that they do wish he was younger, and they do have some some reservations about his mental lapses, but unfortunately, he's all they have. Also, Senator Ron Johnson is set to issue the first subpoenas in the Burisma probe, and the Dow is back, baby, up almost 1,300 points in a single day. So all of that hashtag Trump slump stuff, you can erase it from memory. All right, guys, we've got all this and more, and we'll be right back after a brief word from our sponsor. You know, the biggest fear people have in situations like the one we're in now with the stock market is not actually losing money. You'd be surprised. The biggest fear is losing the status with their family and friends, the ones who have always looked up to you. To be working at the checkout of the local supermarket when all your old friends are off playing golf or on a vacation like you used to be is soul-destroying. And gold has risen, and you might have ignored it. And if you did, you lost out. Well, this has been in the cards for a while now, and this bull market in gold actually started back in 2015. But if you didn't take action before, it's not too late. Putting some precious metals into an IRA or 401k rollover gives you a safety net against anything bad that's coming. Or maybe you have some extra cash sitting in the bank, making less than 0.5%, and you've been meaning to move it into something different. Get some gold or silver in your hands. And Noble Gold has helped thousands of clients just like you. You can call them now at 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347, or hit the link below and see how they can help you. And tell them Red Pill 78 sent you. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel. All right, guys, thanks for sticking around. Welcome back. Here is the first segment of the day from my good friend and fellow researcher Methods. We have a clip of Matthew Whittaker, former acting AG, and he is speaking with American thought leaders and the Epoch Times. Let's go ahead and take a listen. Methods notes some curious body language. Pay attention. Let's see what you think.
Talk about Durham for a moment, okay? Because we know that he was actually conducting a criminal investigation into James Baker as early as 2018, or I think late 2018. Do you think that he was investigating more than that prior to Barr asking him to investigate Crossfire Hurricane? Is that...
Yeah, so I'm familiar with all of that. Yeah. I can't talk about some of that.
Okay.
Of what was happening in 2018 with Durham. What I do know is Durham's the right guy to investigate it. My experience with him is his work is complete and exhaustive, and so I think ultimately, he's going to take whatever time and have whatever resources necessary to see what comes to bear in this regard.
So, from what you've seen, what kind of a timeline might that be? Do we have any hints? Because no one seems to know, right?
I keep hearing spring, and I know I've seen flowers sprouting right now, so spring is close. I just don't know.
All right, so as soon as he asks him whether or not Durham was investigating more, he starts shaking his head yes, and then says he can't answer it. So I would say it's a pretty good chance that's an affirmative. Let's go ahead and take a look at Matthew Whittaker's body language without the sound. Let's go through it here. All right, so he begins with an affirmative nod. Yup, he's just friendly. And as soon as he starts mentioning the investigations, he's nodding his head yes. He is definitely affirming that what we think is happening is truly happening. So Matthew Whittaker here, he can't answer anything, but he can tell us subliminally. Yes, he says yes, and he looks to the side. He's looking in his mind for the actual thing that is taking place. And here you can see on his face, he says Durham is exhaustive. Durham is the right guy for the job. He's going to take as long as he needs. This isn't going to be rushed, guys. This is going to take as long as it requires because they do not want to do a sloppy job. They're going to make sure they mop up this whole dirty bunch. And then when he begins talking about the timeline, he says spring, which is what we've been saying on this channel as well. He says flowers are popping up, so it is pretty close to being spring, and he looks really happy about this situation. Matthew Whittaker, if anybody has an inside scoop, I would say it's him, and he looks pretty comfy. So I hope that makes you guys feel a little bit better about the situation. As I always say, don't lose heart, don't lose hope, just continue to eat your popcorn. All right, next, also from Methods, Valerie Jarrett made an appearance on CBS this morning because they are covering the Super Tuesday stories that are taking place. And let's go ahead and take a look because I said she was at a Halloween party, and that's what you'd think when you take a look at her. But that is not what is happening. So please welcome to the stage my good friend Austin Powers. I thought Valerie Jarrett was supposed to make an appearance. What is going on in this world? Are you telling me that nobody said to her, "You look awesome, baby"? Yeah, no way. I can't believe they allowed her to go on stage in this outfit. You've got to be kidding me. All right, now yesterday, old Joe was stumping for Super Tuesday, and he fumbled through the preamble of the Declaration of Independence. And you gotta believe this is the best that Democrats have to offer. He couldn't even say the word creator, and he forgot to say the word equal. He said, "We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by the you know the thing," said Biden. Absolute mess. Let's go ahead and take a look at the clip.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
This is an elected representative and former vice president of the United States, currently the frontrunner of the Democratic ticket for the presidency of the United States. I'm just going to let that sink in. And it takes us perfectly into our next story. Some supporters of Biden in Texas were being questioned at a rally, and they admit that they're a little bit concerned about the state of his mental health. Now, Laura Ingraham of Fox News sent Raymond Arroyo to interview Biden supporters at his rally at Gilley's in North Texas on Monday night. Now, former candidates Amy Klobuchar and Beto O'Rourke have endorsed Joe Biden from the stage on Monday before the Super Tuesday primaries, and today it looks like James Comey has endorsed Joe Biden as well. However, interestingly enough, the Biden camp rejected the nomination. Now, outside the venue, Raymond Arroyo interviewed several supporters of Biden about his numerous mental lapses. He clearly has issues with dementia, and it's more obvious as the election season continues. Now, they admitted they're concerned about the lapses, but they will support him anyways. One supporter said, "I wish he was younger, but he's the best we got," before hanging his head in dejected shame. Let's go ahead and look at the clip.
We're here at Gilley's where several hundred Biden supporters are here. Now, they have some lingering concerns about the left's or the Democrat establishment's last best hope. Watch.
I love you.
There are a lot of stories emerging about the mental acuity of Joe Biden. People worried about his recall, the slippage of facts. Does that concern you in a debate situation?
Yes, it does.
What particularly?
Everything.
I don't think the slip-ups matter. I think where he stands in his heart and in his mind and who he surrounds himself with is going to make the difference.
I wish he was younger, but he's the best we got. So you got to just, go with the best.
I am concerned about it as far as the debate performance with going up against the other side with Trump. But like the gentleman before me said, I'll take that any day of the week compared to the vile man that sits in the White House right now.
We volunteered for him in 2008 when he was running back then, and I see no difference between now and then.
If we're going to talk about a few gaffes here and there, let's talk about President tongue-tied that we currently have.
Are you concerned?
A little bit, yes.
It's one of the reasons why I could not vote with my conscience for Joe Biden. I don't want to have to worry about mental issues. We already have mental issues in the White House.
Absolutely. It's very concerning. I mean, when he's getting softballs thrown at him and he can't answer the question, it's going to be even rougher. It's getting rougher. The hard times haven't even started. He needs to get some rest.
Laura, these were the Democratic supporters of Joe Biden waiting to get in here tonight. There are only a few hundred people, maybe 700, 800 people here tonight.
Okay, I'm going to have to stop it there because I don't want to get a copyright strike for that song that's playing in the background. But that really ought to tell you all that you need to know. Now, this is not about making fun of an old man. This is about making fun of the best the Democrats have to offer in terms of their candidate going into November of 2020. I feel sorry for Joe Biden. I mean, he's got a lot of legal issues that are facing him, and I think that it is pretty unfair for the DNC to prop up this man who clearly has some real problems with his mental faculties going on and putting him out on the national stage like this, forcing him to work day in and day out. And once he gets on that debate stage, if he gets on that debate stage with President Trump, it's going to be a bloodbath, you guys. President Trump is going to mop up the floor with Joe Biden. And if this is what his supporters have to say, just imagine what his detractors have to say. They don't even need to interview people who don't like Joe Biden because you get the worst of it from the people who are actually going to vote for him, and even some people who would like to be able to vote for him, but they can't find it in their hearts to do so because what's going to happen if he gets his finger on that nuclear button? I don't think that that's something that a majority of the people in the United States would like to see happen. Once again, Joe Biden, he is called sleepy for a reason. I do think that the woman voting for him there in North Texas was correct when she said he needs to get some sleep. I think he needs a nice long sleep, maybe even a cryogenic freeze so that he can get back to being his good old self. No, it's not going to happen. Well, when it rains, it pours. The bad news just keeps breaking for Sleepy Joe. Senator Ron Johnson is set to issue the first subpoena in the Biden-Burisma probe to Andriy Telizhenko. Now, Andriy Telizhenko worked as a political officer in the Ukrainian embassy in Washington, D.C. between 2015 and 2016. He spoke to the Gateway Pundit about the DNC-related collusion scandal way back in December of 2018. Now, the GP was the first publication to interview Telizhenko on his meetings with DNC operative Alexandra Chalupa back in the renegade White House in 2016. Now, in early 2016, Telizhenko was approached by Chalupa. She was still working at the DNC at that time, and she wanted dirt on Trump and his campaign manager, Paul Manafort. Now, the Ukrainian embassy in Washington, D.C. worked very closely with Chalupa and Hillary Clinton. Chalupa told Andriy she wanted Russian dirt on the Trump campaign. Now, Mueller had no intention of hearing Andriy's story. It didn't fit with his narrative, so Dirty Robert Mueller and his team of Democrat lawyers just skipped him altogether in his investigation. Of course, it was a total scam. We know all about it. Mueller and his angry Democrat lawyers were never interested in getting to the truth. They only wanted to destroy President Trump. Now, Andriy spoke to us about his experience with DNC operatives in the White House, and he believes he is safe as long as he speaks out. Stay in the light, so to speak. Now, bringing us today, Senator Ron Johnson will call in Andriy to testify in front of the Senate Homeland Security Committee. From the Daily Caller, Senator Johnson, chairman of that committee right there, is preparing to issue the panel's first subpoena as part of its investigation into Burisma Holdings, which is, of course, the Ukrainian energy company linked to Hunter Biden. And Johnson is a Wisconsin Republican. He told Democratic Michigan Senator Gary Peters of his plans to subpoena Telizhenko, who was a former consultant for Blue Star Strategies. It's a firm that Burisma hired to fight against corruption allegations. Telizhenko, who was a consultant for Blue Star from July 2016 to June 2017, has provided some documents to the committee, according to Johnson. But he says he cannot turn over others without a subpoena because they are protected by a non-disclosure agreement. He cannot provide this responsible information unless he's compelled able to do so by subpoena, Johnson told Peters in his letter. Now, Republicans have been investigating whether or not Hunter leveraged his father's position as vice president to help Burisma, which has long been dogged by allegations of corruption. And of course, we know that Hunter most assuredly did leverage his father's position as vice president to help out Burisma. Hunter was hired, the allegations against Burisma and the investigations, they just went away. And then the next thing you know, Hunter is getting $50,000 to $80,000 a month into his bank account, depending on which report you're referring to. But any way you slice it, we know Hunter and Joe have a long history of corruption, and Burisma is now going to be the spark that sets it all off. Thank you very much, Senator Johnson. I'm looking forward to seeing Andre's testimony. Hopefully it is not going to be in closed session, and we'll get some clips of it for you here on this program. All right, so remember over the weekend we had the hashtag Trump slump that was trending on Twitter, and it's even still going right now. It was in reference to the stock market dive that happened over the course of 2 days. Well, someone ought to tell these people on Twitter that the Trump slump is over. Look at this. The Dow has now broken a record high. It was up almost 1,300 points yesterday. That was a daily record. They rebounded in a big way, and you never have seen anything like this in the past. So here it was just 1 day previously, and boom, over the course of the next 24 hours, it recovered. They had a terrible week. We obviously know it's because of the situation taking place around the globe. We have the global supply chain that's been kind of disrupted as a result of what's happening in the Far East, shall we say. But here today, it looks like everything is going well. We even had the feds cutting their rates as well. President Trump was speaking out about that too. Let's take a look. All right, here we have President Trump speaking out on the Federal Reserve rate cut. He says the Federal Reserve is cutting, but must further ease and, most importantly, come into line with other countries and competitors. We are not playing on a level playing field. Not fair to the USA. It is finally time for the Federal Reserve to lead, more easing and cutting. Well, although I agree with President Trump and his sentiment here, I truly believe that it's time for the president to take some action and just end the Federal Reserve altogether. We know the Federal Reserve is not a federal agency. That name is misleading. This is a consortium of private banks, and as long as the Federal Reserve is controlling our monetary policy and the printing of our money, we are never going to be truly free, and we will always be subject to things such as what we've seen in the last couple of days. I don't want to have to go to the Federal Reserve and ask them to cut our rates so that the United States can recover or even continue to exist as a country. I think it's time that the United States and President Trump take back our financial future and start printing our own money. Put it back on the gold standard. Give us some real value to what we hold in our pockets. And I would like to see an end to never-ending inflation, because right now a dollar has nowhere near the same purchasing power that it had 30, 50, 70 years ago. It is absolutely insane. And it's only because of the Federal Reserve and their private banking consortium that we find ourselves in these, never-ending financial pitfalls. If we were back on the gold standard, things would be very, very different. And something tells me we would all be a lot better off. All right, and finally, from the DC Patriot, Matt Couch's website, devastation in Tennessee. It looks like at least 19 people have lost their lives in deadly tornadoes that tore through the state. With devastating tornadoes ripping through Nashville and the state of Tennessee on Tuesday night, we have these initial reports of at least 19 people who have lost their lives, dozens more in the hospital, and I'm sure that as the day continues, we're going to get more news about people who are needing our support. Please, you guys, I just want to ask everyone to pray for the people of Nashville, pray for the family members of the people who have lost their lives, and pray that they get back on their feet before too long. Hopefully, the federal government and the state government of Tennessee have a strong, robust response to this and get things like this taken care of so that people can continue on with their lives. Well, guys, today is Super Tuesday, so by the time you're watching this, hopefully you've had an opportunity to get out and vote. I'm just going to run through the list of states in case for some reason you don't know that you live in a state where there is a presidential primary today. Those states are Alabama, American Samoa, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, and then there are some more abroad. So please, guys, make sure that if you are going to be voting today, that you go ahead and vote. I know that this is a far more pressing issue for the Democratic side of the aisle, but still, if you are a Republican, there very well may be elections that you yourself want to pay attention to. And of course, we want to make sure that President Trump is the nominee when it comes time to vote in November. Now, I don't think that there's going to be any danger of that happening. President Trump is going to have a nice, strong showing in November, and I think that there are a lot of people who may have otherwise voted Democratic, but instead they're going to be voting for President Trump this time because they've seen the incredible job that he's done in these first 3 years, and now, wow, fourth year in office. It is absolutely incredible to think how far we've come in such a short amount of time, guys. All right, well, that's all I have for you today. I want to thank everyone for joining me. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless. Hey guys, it's Red Pill. Just one more thing. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who has taken the time to support this channel. If you'd like to see some ways that you can support the channel, you can always check the show notes in the pinned comment of this video below. Whether you like, whether you share, whether you make sure that your notifications are on, any way that you support this channel means so much to me. I could not be doing this without you, and I could not do it without your help. Without people like you, this channel would not exist, so thank you so much to everyone for all of their many means of support. Don't forget to check out the merchandise store that is also in the pinned comment, and I will see you guys next time.